Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 45 of my 100-day project. I am working in oil pastel. I cannot believe how fast this is going. I'm just really amazed. So today, I really wanted to do something more abstract. I kind of find myself kind of going between figural sort of faces and somewhat realistic or semi-realistic. I don't even know what you'd call it. And then kind of the pendulum swings back for me to do something a little bit more abstract. And I wanted to do something figural today, like a whole figure. And so there's a shape that is very meaningful to me, and it's the shape that I drew on here. It almost looks like the rune, I'm going to mispronounce this, algiz, which has a couple of different meanings depending on the orientation and how it's used. In one meaning, it can be the rune of protection, and in another, it's the rune that represents the higher self. And often when I use this shape in my work, that's what it represents to me. And so I wanted to draw a figure standing in that shape. And as I was drawing her, she kind of just had this weight to her, which I really loved. And if you look at her stance, she's kind of got her knees bent a little bit and her arms are up. And it's like she's holding up the weight of the world, was kind of what was coming to me. And so I wanted to draw kind of a little bit of a night sky sort of scene. I've been really into watching the Artemis journey right now and seeing the astronauts and what they're sharing, and just being inspired by what humanity is capable of when we're at our best. So, got me super emotional. That's what I wanted to kind of capture here. Like that dichotomy between how crazy the world is right now and how heavy it can feel. And especially as women, I can't speak for what it's like to be a man, but as a woman, as a mother, it feels extra heavy. So I wanted to kind of capture that, but also the hopefulness of possibility and what we're capable of doing as a species. Super emotional today. So that was the inspiration behind this piece. And as I was filling in the sky part, I think what really brought out the Artemis stuff for me was the gaps in the oil pastel from the paper. I'm working on a piece of Canson Mi Tientes Velvet paper that I've mounted to some mat board. So there's no primer that I've applied or underpainting. It's just the color of the paper. And it doesn't, it's got that beautiful texture and tooth, so it doesn't take the pastel smoothly. And I loved those gaps. It reminded me of stars. And I think that's where it all sort of came together for me about this nighttime sky and holding up the universe and, the whole thing. So it's just a very simple piece in terms of a very simple foreground, and a lot of the focus is on the figure and the sky portion. I've blended several different colors, and I'm just layering, and I'm using this purple for shadows. I've got it in the sky, and I'll put a little bit here in some shadows that I'll add in a moment. But really at this point in the painting, I'm looking at values and adjusting my values, trying to bring out what it is that I want to draw attention to. I've got her smack dab in the center of the painting. And at some point, I'd like to bring in a bit of a focal point that might bring emphasis to her hand, because that's really what she's doing. She's reaching out and reaching up and kind of holding on. And so I'll bring in a little bit of that later. And I figured she needed a heart, so I'm making a bit of a heart shape there. I'm going in with some of that Sennelier, the white Sennelier that I like to do at the end to give me the really bright pops of highlight. And so I go back and forth on that. I don't really love it. I kind of mix it up a little bit, and I'm adding in the shadow. I don't know if I have the angle really great. I didn't want it to be like a horizontal shadow because the light is sort of hitting her and she's twisted a little bit. She's not like dead on. So I kind of did it at a bit of an angle. It could have been a little bit darker, and I might have angled it a little, not quite so sharp of an angle, but it is what it is. So I'm just going with it. And I'm using a couple of different colors that I used in the sky. And again, some of that purple to try and unify things, bring some of that purple, that sky down into the foreground. And then I'm blending it out a little bit to see what I can do there. And this is just me just kind of looking, adjusting, squinting my eyes. What do I need to change? And I'm using just a little bit of some white and some like dusty pink to add some stars. If you look at stars, they're not all certainly white. Some of them are red and green. And then I'm using my skewer to scratch in the words love, joy, and magic. I like to put those words into my paintings in one way or another. So I've just scratched them in. And now I'm taking just a pop of that bright blue in her hand just to add a little extra something to bring a bit of a focal point. And then if you use a color in one place, you've got to use it somewhere else. So I'm adding just a little bit of that lightly to the foreground just to unify it and have it not be quite so stark. And there she is doing her best, holding up the world. And I kind of love her. So thanks for joining me today. Thanks for bearing with me. If it feels a lot to you right now, you're not alone. So just know that. Know you're not alone. And thanks for joining me. Take care of you. Take care of each other. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.